I started quilting in 1999, and the thing that made me start was just a fascination I had with my grandmother's quilts. I'd seen her quilting when I was a little girl and always wanted to learn to quilt, but she was always really busy. She ran a farm. All the women in my family have always, no one ever sat with their hands empty. If they were sitting down after they had fixed supper, they were sewing, they were cross-stitching. I come from a family of quilters. My great-grandmother was what quilters call a topper. As far as we know, she never quilted a quilt in her life. But she had 9 children, and she left a dozen quilt tops when she died for every child. And when I got married, my mother had this quilt top quilted by the elderly ladies in the church where my dad was pastor, and that was my main wedding present. And then this one, this quilt, also a bow tie quilt. It's a traditional pattern from the 30s and 40s especially. This quilt was made, pieced, and quilted by my grandmother. And it's a treasure to me because I can see the kinds of fabrics in this quilt that went into dresses she wore when I was a little girl. The first quilt I made, I'm still really proud of. It was a 9-patch, and I made it out of scraps of clothes I'd sewn through the years. Oh, it's this one. And clothes I'd sewn for my babies, and curtains and things like that. And I taught myself out of a book. I've never had a quilting lesson. I quilt because it's something I do for me, and because it's creative. It's not taking somebody else's pattern and somebody else's idea and design. Most quilters work within a structure. At least traditional quilters like me. Art quilters are different. But I make tops in order to have quilts to quilt because I love to hand quilt. It's my favorite part of the process, the rocking the needle back and forth and seeing the design of the thread grows. To me, the most exciting part of quilting. But now I'm designing my own quilts, and I'm getting more interested in the rest of the process. When my husband retired and we were deciding where we wanted to live, we actually looked to make sure there was a quilters guild in the town where we were moving, because I wanted that kind of supportive community, and I knew I would find friends there. Quilting is important to me because it's a history of women's work. And my grandmothers would have said, "Oh, I just made those to keep my family warm." But what they made was art, whether they realized it or not, and they made history. You can look at the fabrics and quilts and date them. And what I'm doing when I'm making a quilt, I'm sharing love for people in my family and friends, babies being born, people getting married. But I'm also making something from inside myself that's unique. And someday, 50, 60 years from now, when I'm gone, my grandchildren will be looking at my quilts and thinking about what they meant to me, and that that they're a heritage that is irreplaceable. No one else could have given them that particular piece of history.